And a special thank you to be on the show tonight to my man, the man Book T. Do it for you. Absolutely. A wonderful interview that I had with him recently, and be some audio. There was there'll be some literature on it. Is the word I'm looking for. There'll be an article on it soon. So follow Chris Prolific for you. And I was able to interview Booker T, and it was a fantastic time. I appreciate it all. For old time's sake. Absolutely. So once again, thank you, Booker T, for being available for an interview. And it was fantastic. Of course, catch Reality of Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. RealityWrestling.com. That's his baby. He does so many things with the Reality Wrestling promotion in Texas. The James Harden on Raw last week was one of his students. Of course, his name wasn't James Harden, but they were in Houston, and James Harden it's a play on words with James Harden. So very interesting stuff, and we're going to have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as always, we're going to have some fun on the Pancakes and Powerslam show. We've got Dominion talk. We've got CM Punk. Oh, it was so funny. I was talking. The co-host, my good friend Evan Tech Proud, will be here in just a few seconds. I usually, it depends because sometimes I have the flavor of the week ready within a week or two beforehand, especially if we're doing some type of series. But in other occasions, the flavor of the week is predicated upon something big that happened recently. Okay, so we'll talk about CM Punk and UFC. And the age-old question, especially since Brock Lesnar has recently surpassed, I think it was yesterday, surpassed CM Punk's world championship winning record, modern day era. Got a comment. I can't wait to hear this. I know you hate that match. Well, you will be hearing it soon, ladies and gentlemen. So Lesnar just passed CM Punk. So, there's some people who didn't feel as if Punk his advocates and his fans and his followers would say otherwise. They would say, he was a WWE champion and he deserved to be in the main event. So this is what I did for the 13 months that CM Punk was WWE champion. So he won it at Survivor Series 2011. He lost it at the Royal Rumble of 2013. So between that, every single pay-per-view that CM Punk held the title, we're going to talk about what was the main event of that pay-per-view. I did some research. I've watched all of them before, but I had to dig back and see what was the main event of every single pay-per-view match during the CM Punk WWE Championship era. So we're going to talk about every single main event, and I even one-upped it. I even one-upped the research. Not only are we going to talk about the main events that were around that happened during CM Punk's WWE Championship era, but we're also going to talk about what match CM Punk had in this respective pay-per-view. So both the main event and CM Punk's match. So we're going to talk about that and then in the show. Of course, Raw and SmackDown review as well. So we're going to have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it. Without further ado, the co-host with the most, Evan Tech Proud. How are you tonight, sir?
What's going on, guys?
I do it for you. That's what's going on. It's
good old Booker man.
That's right.
I had the pleasure of knowing a couple of his students from school. Good friends with Stevie Ray. I talked to Stevie Ray a lot off air on there on my show, and I got to interview Booker T once before. Great guy, man. I meant to tell him, I put him on the level of Dusty Rhodes. You know, no matter what match it is, if Booker T commentating, it makes it better.
Oh yeah, dog. He's in my fave 5. Oh.
Is in one of the pay-per-views Triple H was doing against Big Show or some match.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Oh man, he hit his leg. His leg is connected to the foot bone, to the knee bone."
I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Oh man, I got a comment. The joke would be funny 5 years from now. Give me everything. Absolutely, I agree. I agree. 5 years from now on the Pancakes of Powerslams show, you will hear this. Every time, all night long.
Just to say, I was at the bank not long ago, a few years ago, I'm going to tell you, and I heard a lady say that while I was in the line at the bank. And it had nothing to do with.
I would have popped right there. She would have not known one bit why I was cracking up laughing. I would have popped right there. Absolutely.
I actually did pop.
Yes.
In the bank of she had no idea.
That is the right. Okay, so thank you. Chat room heating up. What's up, Derek? What's up, GHP? That's my man, GHP. Very supportive of the Pancakes and Powerslam show. Greatly appreciated. Nizzy says Punk better call WWE. We'll talk about that in a moment. Interesting. Dominion is straight trash compared to Money in the Bank. How would you know that if we haven't seen Money in the Bank yet? So we'll talk about Dominion as well here in just a moment. I think we'll see. We'll see. Trivia question on deck, ladies and gentlemen. What year did superstar Billy Graham win the WWE Championship? What year did superstar Billy Graham win? Anthony, how about that? See that? I tell you that pop every time, every time. I don't even get the chance to finish the question, and someone has the answer for the. I commend you, Anthony. As a matter of fact, couldn't even finish the question, man. You get an applause for that. You get an applause for that for sure. 1977, ladies and gentlemen. 1977. Superstar Billy Graham. Who did he beat, Anthony? Who did he beat? 2-part question for you. I know. I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you know it. But who did he beat? Who did San Martino beat for that title? He only had the championship one time. How about that? As popular as he is, he only had the championship one time. GHP, I did not know that there was a pancake emoji. How about that? I did not know that. I will be using that in a lot of my tweets from now on. I did not know that there's a pancake emoji. Thank you for that. Used to review the WWE title histories on the website as a kid. Okay, cool. There you go. Awesome. So you would know that he won in 1977. But don't try to divert from my second part of the question, Anthony. Who did he beat to become the WWE champion? All right, so we got some Dominion talk to have. Bruno Santamantino, that's correct. Good job. All right, so easy. Yes, I agree. It was easy. It was easy. That's why I said I'm sure you know it. So that's exactly why I said that. So I'm not going to get too in depth about Dominion because I did that in the Wrestling Inc. podcast following UFC 223. Real quick. Hold on. Yeah, that's true. Hold on real quick. So we're not going to get too much into it because I did the podcast following UFC 225. So it was like 2 to 3 in the morning here Eastern time. But, you know, that's what happens when okay, yeah, sure will. Thank you for letting me know that, Mo. I will do that. Very good show tonight. Much better than Raw is what someone said about SmackDown. All right, we'll get to that. Okay, so we talked about Dominion at the Wrestling Inc. podcast following UFC. So we talked about Dominion and UFC 225. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about just you know a few important points about Dominion and also CM Punk specifically, UFC 225. So as you were saying, Evan, Dominion was only a half an hour more than WrestleMania, but we have this conversation about time not seeming, it doesn't seem as much or it doesn't seem as long when there's some really good action as opposed to something that's drawn out. Now, Dominion was 5.5 hours long and 6.5 with the pre-show. So WrestleMania was 5 hours long and 6 hours with the pre-show. So, you know, Dominion was longer, but it didn't seem like it.
And always, you know me, I always like splitting stuff up in a unique way to break down Dominion's time list for wrestling purists like you and I. Dominion was a 3-hour Raw, was an episode of a current Raw, an episode of a current SmackDown, and an old episode of Shotgun Saturday Night for WCW Pro.
That's right, WCW Pro, absolutely.
Or WCW Jacked.
Jacked Metal. It was jacked on one end of the on East Coast or whatever, and then on the West Coast it was like metal. Like why was it two different names, Jacked and Metal? It made no sense at all. Kenny says, new friend, appreciate everything you do with the podcast. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Kenny. This is the 324th episode. And people like you, Kenny, you know, you keep me going. You keep me motivated and excited to have every single show. 6 years and 2.5 months this podcast has been going nonstop every single week since April of 2012. How about that? GHP says, welcome to the podcast, Kenny. This is a great place to be. My favorite wrestling podcast. I listen to it every week. Can't live without it. Mo, you are the man. You are the man. You know why, Mo? You know why? You know what? I know, Mo. I know why you listen to the podcast. I know why you do it. It's because of this. I do it for you. I do it for you. You get a double take. You get a double take.
I commend you your 300 plus episodes. I technically have a clip over 40 a week. So people don't understand. Having a podcast is easy. Anybody can start it.
Right.
Making it you know, specifically in us being as a team, people don't understand the hard work it takes to be on successfully for a month.
Yes.
Nonetheless, for us, 4 years for me, 5 years for you, 300
6 years
episodes for you, 400 plus episodes
wow.
for you. It shows how much work it goes in getting guests. If you don't know, it is a lot of work. We make it look easy. We can just talk about wrestling freely, but the preparation of why guests, talking to agents, talking to publishers, talking to the boys, talking to promoters, working over time slots. What can we talk about? What can we talk about? Talking about books, promoting it, going to these shows.
Yep.
Going to events is so much.
You preaching, man.
That's radio shows. Not add on the live interviews you've done.
Yep.
Featherstone, the live interviews I've done at shows, stuff we can't even put out because we pay
right.
Stuff
Dude, I kid you not. I kid you not. I have an interview with Bill Goldberg that I did last week. That's exactly what you just said. can't go out yet, but it should be out soon. But yeah, everything is about timing. And it's so true. I totally agree. Yep.
You had pictures. Hey, you can't put it out there. Don't put it on social media.
Yep. I get full movies like DDP. When I had him on my show, his press sent me the full oh goodness, what was that? What's the movie called?
The press release. I got the same thing.
What's the movie called? DDP's thing. With Jake Roberts and Scott Hall. I know you guys know it in the chat room. What's the movie called?
Cheating Death or something?
No, the yoga thing. The whole yoga thing.
Oh, the yoga. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I had that too.
Released
that. Couldn't share it. You get the email.
Y'all know it. Y'all know it in the chat room. Yeah. What is it called? What is it called? No, it's not called DDP Yoga. That's not the. What's the movie called that Jake Roberts and Scott Hall were featured in? You guys know it. I know you guys know it.
You get that email, and it's in bold caps.
Yep.
Or if it's in red letter caps.
Ready to rumble. That's not right. No. The movie, the DDP movie of him changing the life of Jake Roberts and Scott Hall because of the yoga thing. Oh goodness, that's gonna bug me. That's gonna bug me throughout the entire show.
You cannot share this content, or whether you please do not share this content, do not forward this content, apply, do the law.
Resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Thank you, fam.
No, actually, I had to look that up because people were saying ready to rumble. Jimmy oh goodness, Jimmy King, right? Jimmy King, Jimmy Crown King or something like that. I will crown you, and he had the double axe handle from the ropes. Yeah, you know what? That movie did not have a lot of good reviews, but I liked Ready to Rumble. I mean, people are saying the same thing. I liked Ready to Rumble. I thought it was a pretty good book. Same thing with No Holds Barred. Listen, almost 30 years later, I can understand why people legitimately did not like No Holds Barred, because if I looked at that movie now, as opposed to what would that come out? 87, 88, something like that. If I looked at that 30 years later, I would be like, ooh, that is rough. That is rough. But back then, I was, I loved me some No Holds Barred. Let it rip. Before the video chat saw me with the rip signal. So just a few people I've interviewed in 6 years. I've had Nick Aldis on the show twice. Chris Masters, Ernest the Cat Miller, Rosa Mendez. I'll just read like the first, All right, so Nick Aldis, this is the Chris Masters, A.R. Fox, Jerry Lynn, Kenny King, Ernest the Cat Miller, Rosa Mendez, Kevin Sullivan, Eddie Kingston, Paul Diamond, Shane Taylor, Colt Coombs, Roddy Piper's son, Brian Cage, Hornswoggle, Tyler X, Ken Anderson, Eric Bischoff, Dave Christ, Dave Meltzer, He Hate Me, Rod Smart, Sawyer Fulton, Russ Briscoe, Angelina Love, Dave Lagana, Greg Gagne, Court Bauer, Tom Pritchard, Shane Helms, PJ Black, Art Orcal, Jack Doan, Where am I at? Matt Seidel, Jack Swagger, JTG, Raka Khan, Dust Wonderkin, Alex Wright, Vince Russo, DJ Z, Marty Elias a bunch of times, Bill Apter, Billy Gunn a couple times, Keith Lee, Cameron, aka Arian Andrew, Sanjay Dutt, Adam Page, Braxton Sutter, Dan Severin, Simon Dean, Eugene, Marcus Louis, Matt Hughes, Ken Anderson, Sean Navarre, John Morrison, Chris Sabin, Pete Gass, Animal, Christopher Daniels, Gary Michael Capetta, Scott Norton, Laurel Van Ness, or Chelsea Green, Jay Lethal, Drew McIntyre, Shane Douglas, Bobby Fulton a couple times, one of my favorites. Rob Conway, Ricardo Rodriguez, Al Snow, Thea Trinidad, aka Zelina Vega, Scott Putski, Abyss, PN News. I was one of the late Matt Rosie, I was one of his last interviews before he passed away, unfortunately. Garrett Bischoff, Richie Steamboat, Anthony Bennett, Jim Brazell, Buff Bagwell, Jeff Farmer, the NWO Sting, Katie Lee Burchill, more. I've had over 100 people, so I'm not going to name them all. Enough guests have been on the show to start a new promotion. That's a good point. Great lists. Thank you. Buff Bagwell mows my lawn every Tuesday. Tell him Chris Featherstone from the Pancakes Powerslams said hi. What's that?
Probably got more guests between us more than WWE got his employees right now, as far as in the ring.
Yeah, well, I've got over 100. Arya Davari, Brandy Rhodes, Adam Rose, Ted DiBiase Jr., Jake Roberts, Bushwhacker Luke, Cedric Alexander, Paul London, Teddy Long, Bill Dundee, Eric Escobar. I dug him up. That was fun. You know what? I love Brad Maddox. I've had Brad Maddox on the show as well. Yeah, it was fun. I have to listen to that interview again. I probably haven't listened to that interview in a while. It was fun. I love digging up people who had some glimmer of hope in the WWE, but unfortunately was unsuccessful. He was the man in FCW though. Eric Escobar was, but he had a little Vicky Guerrero thing going on SmackDown. It didn't work. I've had Johnny Gargano on the show as well. Rikishi, Dijak, Davey Richards, my man, Roderick Strong, Mark Lawrence, man. Go subscribe to iTunes and you'll see the other half of the names that I have. But subscribe to the Pancakes Powerslams show on iTunes. You can listen to all of these interviews. All of this stuff is archived, so listen to them at your leisure. Subscribe to the Pancakes and Powerslams show on iTunes. Yeah, so it was good to talk to Eric Escobar to share his thoughts on just the failed WWE run, unfortunately. But you know what? Because I was so excited to talk to him because, you know, it was something about his ring announcing. Now, of course, you get the Gary Michael Capettas. I've had him on my show. Dave Pinzer, I've had him on my show as well. So usually Capetta and Pinzer are two of the top of all time. But for me, Mark Lawrence is up there because he had the most monotonous introductions in world-class championship wrestling. That it was amazing to me though. He was just like real chill. Like he was. I love when he would introduce the Freebirds, and when he would introduce Buddy Roberts, he would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, from such and such, the toast of the coast, Buddy Roberts," and just real chill, man. And I loved it. And I talked about that with Mark on the show. How I just loved his ring announcing style. So, next question. That was a good trip down memory lane, by the way. That was long overdue. Long overdue. Who was the first United States champion? Who was the first United States champion? So thank you, chat. See, Anthony. Anthony is on the spot tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Harley Race. Harley Race. Handsome Harley Race. King Harley Race. For sure. Yeah, so thank you, chat room, for allowing me to go down memory lane and talk about some 1975, that's correct. Talk about some hosts, some people I've had on the show. Again, subscribe to iTunes. That was just a fraction of the people I've had on the show. I've had over 100 guests, and I have not missed a week of having a wrestler on the show in over 2 years. So that is such a blessing, and I give glory to God on that one, because just like you said, Evan, just the he'll have himself on every week. Oh, but I respect to Kevin Nash, because I've discussed him coming on the show too. But yeah. It's awesome, man. You know, I've talked to Shane Helms. I've had Shane Helms on my show before. I've talked to him off air as well. And again, I've said this before, but I give him all the credit, man. As far as just I give him the credit as far as just really motivating me, as far as just the wrestler is concerned. I mean, there's people who I talk to a lot. I've been blessed to keep some really good relationships with the people that I've interviewed. And Shane Helms, he said to me before we talked on the phone for a little while before the interview, when he was on my show, and he was just like, man, you know, I commend you for keep going. And he was talking about how he had a podcast, and he realized how much work that was involved with having a podcast, that he had it for a little while and then, you know, it ended. But he said, man, you know, you've been on the show for that. I mean, you've been on the air for that long. I commend you. So, you know, major kudos for Shane Helms for doing that. Shane had a great thing going with the Gregory Helms run on SmackDown. I believe he suffered a neck injury that kept him out a year. Yeah, that injury was bad news for him. All right, next question. What were Dutch Mantel's 2 manager names in WWE? How about that? That was a little tougher. What were the Dutch Mantel's 2 manager names in the WWE? Evan Tech Proud, what were your thoughts on the Dominion pay-per-view?
SummerSlam Junior? No, I'm just joking.
Right. It is New Japan SummerSlam. That's for sure.
I was great. The opening promo threw me off. Like, it looked like Tony Stark's house from the Avengers. Like, the pool was posted. Had a little teddy bear that looked like Kenny Omega in the corner.
Yeah.
I thought Dominion overall it's New Japan. It's a great pay-per-view. I was wrestling first. I love it. It was this nonstop action. God, I think I've joked. I don't know if I said it on your show last week on my show, where I said Kenny Omega. I think it was your show. I said Kenny Omega and Okada was going to be like 2.5 hours, and he almost reached 9 minutes.
Yeah, it was an hour and 4 minutes. Yep, 65 minutes.
Yeah, it was a great pay-per-view. I mean, action was tight. Shout out to Jericho with the Alex DeLarge, Clockwork Orange. I mean, he just keeps reinventing himself. I mean, gosh. I mean, it was about 2 table bumps. The match didn't even start yet.
Yeah.
Him winning. Omega, Omega finally winning. Finally defeating Okada. And it was too early in the morning to start to call you, but like, brother, your boy Okada finally lost. And it was a great pay-per-view. I really enjoyed it.
That was tough for me.
WrestleMania. I mean, I watched it in my office, in my house, and I'm like, wow, This pay-per-view only felt like it was 2.5 hours. But yet we was at WrestleMania. We was there for over 6. And it felt like a whole day.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Like I said, New Japan. I know the question fans are probably gonna ask in the chat. Do you think Dominion was better than Wrestle Kingdom? I would say Dominion. I give Dominion a slight edge over Wrestle Kingdom only because I didn't really expect Omega to win, and the fact that Jericho winning was clearly out the blue. I like the element of surprise. Wrestle Kingdom this year was great. I just would give Dominion a slight edge. People are already calling Okada Omega 5.5 stars. Oh, I read some articles today where they were saying some people were giving it 4.5. I'm not sure what Uncle Dave rated it, Dave Meltzer, but it told a great story. The Young Bucks is always great performances. Mysterio, his Mask of the Weird, him being there, Liger. It just had all the great elements. Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, that match was amazing. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, I think it was a solid show as always. I mean, it's tough for me to watch a New Japan pay-per-view and be dissatisfied, to be honest with you. And my expectations are pretty high too when it comes to New Japan pay-per-views because of what I have watched over the past few years, number of years really, even dating back to the 90s, but specifically the Wrestle Kingdom series. It's tough to be dissatisfied, really. And yeah, I mean, they delivered as always, really. Good job, Mo. Zebekiah, Uncle Zebekiah, and Zeb Coulter. Uncle Zebekiah and Wrestle Kingdom just continues to just show off and show up and impress me like crazy. But I will agree with you. I think Jericho winning he being the president now, starting real like a new regime. So he wants that international flair to it. So I totally understand why Omega won, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, Okada, he's had the title 2 years. He won a Dominion. He beat Naito 2 years ago. So I totally understand 12 title defenses, 2 years as champ, cemented itself as being perhaps the greatest wrestler in the history of New Japan. So, I'm an Okada mark, and he's in my top 3. He's actually probably, let's see, I would say current full time. I would say that Jay Lethal's number 1, Roman Reigns number 2, and Kazuchika Okada number 3. So that's my top 3 right now. And it's been like that for a while. Actually, a few years I've been on my top 3. Lethal number 1, Reigns number 2, Kazuchika Okada number 3. So I'm an Okada guy. I remember when he was in TNA and they just underutilized the snot out of him. Thank you. Nice top 3 is what the comment says. And it's like now the past few years in New Japan, woo, man, they know how to push someone and make him look like gold. And that's what they did with Okada. And he proves it in the ring. I like his music too. Just the little subtle stuff. He looks like a star. And so, yeah, but Kenny Omega looks like a star too. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and John Cena. I can't knock that top 3. I'm not a Cena guy at it by any stretch, but I've Cena's been in WWE for 16 years, so it's to the point where he's done his dues. So he's the.
With top 3, I'm glad you said it. For me, I would say Omega, Okada, and Reigns. And I'm not the biggest Reigns fan, but and honorable mention Lethal and Seth Rollins. But just Omega's been consistent for the past year and a half.
Yep.
I love Reigns and hate Reigns. He's not had a bad match.
Yeah, he's solid. He's solid in the ring, man.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right. Cena was on top, but Cena didn't have the matches with everybody. Reigns does, and I'm not a Reigns fan like that, but Reigns, I don't like his. I think Reigns is great for what he is. I think a lot of what Reigns has is generic. The believe that his slogan is generic. The big dog is generic name, but it just works.
The big dog.
Yeah, the big dog. Every time he comes up, Michael Cole, the big dog.
Oh, Michael. You know what? Michael Cole is someone who has made Roman Reigns jeered. Because that thing, I'm a Roman Reigns guy, man. You know, GHP is hilarious. My top three are 1, Seth, 2, Freaking, and 3, Rollins. Clever. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm a Roman Reigns guy, and you know, I think that's when his music comes out, and then forget that they need to boo him, and then start booing like that's how bad it's gotten. They like I've seen it. I go to every single. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I go to every single WWE event in Columbus. I have not missed one, a live event in almost 20 years, and I've seen it so many times. People cheer Roman Reigns when he come out, and then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, oh my, you know, there's that pocket of people over there booing. Oh yeah, that's right, boo. And then, you know, if you're asked, why are you booing Roman Reigns? Because because he can't wrestle. Oh really? He's well, Jericho said he could wrestle. Miz said he could wrestle. Daniel Bryan said he could wrestle. They've put him over a bunch of times. A lot of other people who Paul Heyman said he could wrestle. Oh, okay. Well, he's he can't he's not good on the mic. So it's like just creating stuff up.
I got this debate before on my show, and I even said, promise that boy, people forgetting to boo Reigns. I think this is right before you start going to Mania with me in Dallas. Was you at Mania in Dallas?
No, just for Orlando and this year.
Okay. So in Dallas, WrestleMania, when the Reigns speared Triple H, tons of people like, yeah, boom. You can clearly see it, 100,000 people, and that was around the time, we saw this another time on the show, that was around the time when it was starting to turn to like, okay, Reigns is going to be the next, he's going to be the man.
Yeah.
And the fans, by this time, was like, okay, do we cheer for Triple H, or do we boo Reigns? And Reigns was getting more boos than cheers. You clearly saw evident when he hit that spear.
Oh, like, yeah. GHP, fantastic comment. Okay, go ahead. You said we said when he hit the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hit the spear, and you clearly saw 100,000 people. Yeah, oh dang, you know.
oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to boo Roman Reigns.
Right, we're supposed to boo him.
Oh man.
It's like, and I told somebody about not talking on the mic, and I told somebody about Brett. You know, I've talked to Brett before off air. I always respect Brett. Brett wasn't the best talker.
No, he was not. No, not at all.
Brett was not a good talker, and Brett said it himself. That's why Brett wore the sunglasses. It was a little extra trivia.
Yeah.
Now, Featherstone was nice, because if I start doing trivia, nobody's going to get it. That's why he told me Brett. I'm like Featherstone, like a wrestling historian and encyclopedia. Bret Hart wore sunglasses 9 times out of 10 because he was nervous.
Yeah.
He didn't like looking at the camera. Bret is by no means. He did some of the blandest. You talk about Roman Reigns. Bret in the 90s with Hogan and Savage, and he did some of the most boring promos. He was getting
Bret Hart, he could not save his life if his promo depended on it. I'll say all that. Speaking of 4 out of 10, when you're in the ring with the excellence of execution, it's going to be 1-3 for you, Nature Boy, and you are going to kick out. No, you're not, because I am Bret Hart. And it's just like, like, just what?
I would rather watch Skinner, and I love Steve Hearn.
Skinner, yeah.
Those fabulous one promos when they was on the horses.
Yes.
I would watch that 1,000,000 times over. Or listen to a Tony Atlas promo, which made no sense.
Oh, Atlas was tough too.
The legend. Right? And Grant, we love Sting. Sting's the GOAT. Not that Sting was the greatest talker. He was decent.
Yeah, Sting was decent.
It made sense. Like I'm the great right shark and start barking.
But that was his gimmick. But that was his gimmick, though. Like that was Sting. Like his gimmick was the surfer dude yell loud in the to the microphone, because Ric Flair, I'm gonna get you, and I'm the great white shark, and the fans will pop because he's loud. I mean, not necessarily like a lot of stuff that Sting said didn't make sense, but he was just loud, and that's the reason why the people pop. I got to say this real quick from GHP. What's funny is that the Samoan family style has always been the same, smash mouth. So if that's the case, the whole family can't wrestle. Shake my head. Let them hate, man. I mean, that, ladies and gentlemen, right there is the comment of the night so far. You get an applause for that. That is actually a fantastic comment. Yeah. Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans, father and cousin. Yeah.
Roman Reigns dead?
And Roman Reigns' father is a WWE Hall of Famer. How about that? WWE Hall of Famer, and also in the family blood, Rikishi. WWE Hall of Famer. How about that?
I'm gonna tell any of the fans this, and I told the two fans this at show is jokingly. I know a good number of the Samoans. I've talked to Rikishi tons of times at conventions, backstage. I've talked to Sam Moore. I'm cool with the Samoans. They say, hey, brother, what's up? I'm cool with their cousins that run a big town in Allentown, Pennsylvania. They're like descendants of cousins, just like Alpha and Sika. They're related some way. Are you going to go to their face and tell them that
right?
Stuff?
Right.
Or tell them, yeah, I don't think you will.
I could just imagine like a troll who doesn't know why he doesn't know why he dislikes Roman Reigns, going up to one of the Fatu or the NOIE family people, and they go up to him and they said Roman Reigns is terrible. I could just imagine like the Fatu going up to say, "What you say, Oos?" It's just like. And having that type of face, like, oh, I'm serious, and then that Roman Reigns troll will probably run away. So, yeah.
And one thing about them, and I'll say this real quick, is last year I was talking to Rikishi and Samu. Was at the show in Pennsylvania, backstage, is talking and laughing. They're very straightforward. And the reason how I knew this is when I always respect Rikishi and Samu, but and this is verbatim, Rikishi will tell you this. I asked Rikishi about his sons, and he said, quote unquote, those are my boys and I love them. He said, Johnny needs to start listening to his dad's advice. They're doing good, but they start listening to their father who knows better than them, they can do better.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Oh, yeah. He's yeah. Yep.
I know he was talking about, and he used their Samoan names. I'm not saying it. He said Johnny and Jimmy or Joey, and he said and ad-libbed and said their Samoan names or whatever. And he said they start listening to me because they hard-headed. They'll do better. I don't know what he meant, but he told me, and my staff can back it up. We said, okay. He said, sorry, Goose, I'm straightforward.
Yeah, he was straightforward when he was on my show too. He said Roman Reigns need to turn heel, and he was serious about that too. Yeah. All right, so we got some talking to do. We got some UFC CM Punk to talk about. So I mean, pretty much with Dominion, it was a really good pay-per-view. Like I said, I reviewed it in detail at the Wrestling Inc. podcast following that. So if you're checking this through the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel, check out the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I was on there going in depth about Dominion. Yeah, real good. Like I said, Kenny Omega deserved it. I think it was long overdue. Long overdue in a way, but I was totally fine with Omega being champ for 2 years. So, but I understand why Omega won, and hats off to him for sure. So, Anthony, yes, trivia is a weekly part of the show. We have trivia every single week. So yeah. I'm looking, man, Ishii and Suzuki, man, those slaps were crazy. Yeah. So I mean, just it all, man, good to see Michael Elgin. It was a good night for Canada, that's for sure. Michael Elgin, Chris Jericho, and Kenny Omega all won titles, and they're all Canadian. Chris Jericho's not from Canada. He wasn't born in Canada. He was born in New York, but he decided to, his family decided to go to Canada. I think his dad was into NHL hockey, if I'm not mistaken. So Winnipeg is Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega's stomping ground. So big night for Winnipeg and big night for Canada as well. Don Callis was marking out like a little kid during the match and at the at the post show. So yeah, Dad played in NHL. All right. Before we get into that, was in Breaking the Code, good DVD. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, thank you for sharing that. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've seen plenty of DVDs, but I don't know if I've ever seen that. I think I'm gonna try to catch that. All right. Who was the Intercontinental champ when the belt changed to the old school and current design? How about, see, look, GHP, looks like you guys are ready to have, you got your fingers on the phone or on the keyboard. I respect y'all for that, man. I respect y'all for that for sure. New Japan has 3 Canadian champions, Mo. Three, I guess you can say, because Jericho's Canadian, I think, so. Cody Rhodes, that is correct. GHP had it first. Cody Rhodes. Yeah, so Elgin won the Never title. He's from Canada. Jericho's Canadian, I guess you can say. He won the Intercontinental title, and of course Omega is Canadian. He's from Canada. He won the top prize. Yeah, Cody Rhodes turned it into the white belt, the white leather. So, and I was so excited because I was not a fan of that Intercontinental title design before that. So,
I got a trivia, Dougley. Who was the first person to receive the rock bottom finishing move?
There you go. Who was the first person to receive the rock bottom finishing move? That's a particularly CM Punk. We're just going to talk about CM Punk. I seen the Rock DVD and seen it. Is what it's what a comment says. And read his book. So you should know. You should know, Mo. Triple H is a guest from Anthony. Is that correct,
No.
Evan? Nope, not Triple H. That is not incorrect. Interesting. All right. So you guys keep guessing. Randy Orton, Billy Gunn, any of those? I'm just seeing a bunch of answers now. Neither. Nope. Let's see. It had to be someone in the nation. My guess was Farouk. Nope, not Farouk. Mark Henry.
I get an answer.
Savio Vega, D'Lo.
Nah.
Who was it?
I'll tell y'all real quick. It just had to be the ugliest, one of the ugliest ones. It was Road Warrior Hog.
Yeah.
Road Warrior Hog doing the 6-man tag or the 4-man tag. It was doing the Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Screw job.
I remember that.
Screw job or Gang Rules. It was one of them two. I think it was a Screw Job pay-per-view.
Yeah.
He just did it. Matter of fact, it just came out to believe Road Warrior Hog he just went splat. And what a move. No, it was man.
They probably thought it was a botch.
Look it up. It was Survivor Series, whatever the 4-way tag it was The Rock and whoever was Road Warriors or something. And I think Curtis and the Fawn was even in that match. Something like that. And it was
That was Survivor Series, you said? Was that the one? Was that the one that was like Vader, Steve Blackman? Yeah, Furnace of the Fun. I think it was against like Goldust. Let me check. Yeah, let me. What year was that? 98 or 90? 98? 97?
I think it was doing
it must have been 97. That's quite a name to have taken the first rock bottom. Yes. Botch bottom. Yes. That is what it was called. Just imagine JR calling botch bottom, botch bottom, botch bottom.
Actually, it was the Survivor Series 96 Screw Job was Ken Shamrock, Ahmed Johnson, and the Legion of Game against the Nation of Domination for Roode, Mustafa, and Rocky Maivia.
Yep. I remember that was 97 Survivor Series. Yeah.
97.
Yep. Botch bottom! Botch bottom!
Actually, it was called Gang Rules, but it will be something known as the Screw Job.
Yes, the Screw Job. Yep. Absolutely. It's all common here. There's video on Raw of Hawk completely no-selling the 5-star frog splash from RVD to tag match. I remember that. I remember that. RVD and Kane won. That's when LOD made the return, made like a one-night return, and they put over RVD and Kane, but Hawk just completely just no-sells the frog splash. Yes, that was hilarious. So hilarious.
Hey, that's the flavor of the week. The most famous no sell.
Yes. No, I think the biggest. You know what? I'll just go straight to number one right now. The best no sell of all time was Bruiser Brody, cage match, Lex Luger. if y'all if y'all have never seen that, please Google Bruiser Brody versus Lex Luger in the cage. It got to the point where Lex Luger left the match. He left the cage, and he was petrified of Brody, and he just started looking at him. He starts out like he was, you know how Luger does his, ow, you know he does his, ow, and he was punching Brody. And Brody just started looking at him, just no selling like crazy. And Luger was scared of his draws almost. So it was, he was quite afraid.
That's number one. But to me,
well, he would do that a lot though. Yes, he would do that a lot. Like when he would hawk up, he would they would do the move and he would get it right back up and just do the whole hawk up thing. Wait.
Edit this in the network. You're going to hear cheers. I guarantee you, because I've documented this in a book, Battleground, Baltimore book, great book, because of the history of Baltimore wrestling here in the state. since the Civic Center in the 50s all the way to now. The crowd booed. This is when everyone was tired of Hogan and Hulkamania.
Yeah.
But my favorite no-sell was the Road Boys against Sting and Liger. It was uncensored or something. Sting seaplexes Animal. I don't know if this was planned. Animal got right up and kicked Sting so hard in his stomach. Like, oh!
Yeah.
Sting did a Liger. And I was like, okay, was that no-so planned? Because they just no-sold each other. Liger no-sold the C-flags. Sting no-sold the power slam.
Yep.
Hug no-sold the kick. I'm like...
I gotta give some props to Anthony for the Mania one. Warrior eating that pedigree for Triple H. He got right back up. That was that's a good one, Anthony, for sure. Absolutely. All right, next. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Now say which on the VHS tapes they removed that match in the Hulkster and Ultra Man match. The VHS version.
Interesting. Next trivia question. Who did Booker T defeat to become World Heavyweight Champion in WWE? Who did Booker T defeat to become World Heavyweight Champion in WWE? Already on it tonight. Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio. Because Chavo Guerrero turned on Rey Mysterio. And he helped the one King Booker. So, all right. So, UFC, this has been a fantastic show, by the way. UFC 225. CM Punk. Yeah. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on CM Punk losing to Mike Jackson? Who Dana White said that Mike Jackson's not going to step foot in UFC. Well, he said CM Punk isn't either, but Mike Jackson's not going to return to UFC because he was arrogant and he was unimpressive. And I'll have my thoughts on that in just a bit after you go for it, Evan.
Punk. I don't know. I used to say this about Brett. Punk is just so bitter. Just the name Punk just vexes me. You're known to wrestle. Being in MMA, you can talk about Brock all you want. You can talk about Lashley all you want. Shamrock, Severn, and I'm friends with Shamrock and Severn, and Bass Rutten. You realize how tough it is to be an MMA fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole nother world. For them men to transcend the world of MMA, mixed martial arts, UFC, and to actually be successful in wrestling, two totally different disciplines, means something. CM Punk, really, he looks sick. I'm like, were you that small?
Pounds. I was like, what?
In WWE, he was billed as what, 220?
Yeah, about 215, around there, 220.
So he probably was.
But you know how they inflate weight, so he was probably about 200, 205. Yeah. So.
Yeah, about 200. Yeah, 200,
yeah.
205.
Mm-hmm.
He looks sick to me, and okay, I give you credit for trying. You tried, you at least did it. You know, it's not like, oh, I wish I would have did it. You tried. But it's like, man, you barely landed a punch. You lasted 3 rounds. You didn't get knocked out. Well, come on, man.
Yeah.
And then you're going to burn your bridge and say, I'm never going to WWE. Look, never say never. Because what are you going to do after? After the money dry up, no, after your stock plummets, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I always say this. If Bret Hart can come back to Vince after his brother died and Bret came back and reconciled with Shawn and reconciled with Vince, if Bruno could come back, if Warrior could come back, sadly Warrior and Bruno is gone, if others could come back, and he went through a lot worse things, if Foley could come back, and him and Vince had sharp matches, and Austin and Michael, and so many other people that's come back to Vince that went through a lot more than just you not being happy.
Warrior. Look at Warrior. They made a DVD from him off of him, making fun of him. The rise, was it self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, and he came back and was in the Hall of Fame. You know, so yeah. Savage was in the Hall of Fame, despite. Yeah.
You failed. It's not your thing. Go back to what you know. Pick your weight back up. Work out. You already know when you go back to WWE wrestling, you're gonna make tons of money because people gonna want to see you.
Yeah.
Just go back to doing that. Even if you don't want to go to WWE, go to New Japan. Do what Jericho did. Go to Impact. Go to ROH. You go to ROH, you can do another homecoming tour. Like if Daniel Bryan doesn't fine, they'll eat that up.
Yeah. Oh, of course ROH would. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Say it again?
I said, of course ROH would. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. My theory is just because you're not happy because you weren't, you won the case good. What do? You won the case cool. But come on, man. I say this, and not tooting horns. Me and you, of all people know, all shows both been respected. We done interviewed and talked to you enough of the boys and WWE Hall of Famers and legends to know. We done heard some stories that we can't even talk about on air of how times they just weren't happy with how they were being used.
Oh yeah.
He said it tons of times on his podcast. Jericho has said it.
Yep.
Bischoff has came out and said on Jericho's podcast.
Your boy Ryback, dog.
Come on. That's a part of life. If you don't like how you're being used, you walked out. Okay, get over it. Suck it up. Get yourself together, pick up some weight, and go back to WWE. Because honestly, right now, you can use WWE. WWE darn sure can use you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my theory. It's like you tried UFC good. You got to give the man credit for trying. He tried. Cool, but you failed. You can't be good at everything. You're not Brock. You're not Dan Severn.
Here's my thing. I think that CM Punk, he said that, he his life earnings basically was whisked away, from the trial. Of course, from what I've heard, he was a pretty good steward over his money in WWE. So he's got money to last him for a while. But he's 39. He'll be 40 this year. How long is that WWE money going to give him? He'll get paid in royalties. Is that what he's going? Is that what he's going to hinge on, royalties for the next 20, 30 years? And it's like, here's the thing. He's got he made I think Mike Jackson made $35,000, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 30, somewhere around there. CM Punk made $503,000 by losing, and it was so lopsided that it was like $25,000 or $35,000 that Mike Jackson made for that fight. And it's like over $500,000 that CM Punk just made by just going there and getting beat up, and it's like, that to me is, I understand UFC's pay based on popularity. Like, for instance, Alistair Overeem got beat up in the prelims by, he got beat up in the prelims by elbow strikes, but he made over $800,000 that fight, and that is incredible to me. That is crazy. Like, in the prelims, he made more money than anybody, and he was in the prelims. That's because I think he had like a $400,000 endorsement from like Reebok or something like that. Yeah, so it's like, Wow. he that's crazy to me. But here's the thing: people like Bellator, like sponsors, will get behind CM Punk. Curtis Blades is who he got beat up by, but Overeem's been a while. He's been around for a while. He's 38 and he's had what 60. He's had 60 UFC fights. Well, he's 60 MMA fights. So, yeah, it was it was surprising because he's been around for so long. But and that's the thing. I don't see CM Punk going back to WWE, and that's not a bad thing because he. And I said this before. I said this on the Wrestling Game podcast. I think that Vince McMahon and Triple H, their relationship was very sour, mostly because Triple H didn't want anything to do with them. I know people who were former WWE writers, and they've said that he was unpleasant backstage, and that's coming from the WWE writers. Like you said, Evan, there's way more than that, but that's a part of it. And so him and Triple H, I don't, but even with that, I still think that I think that Vince McMahon and Triple H will be willing to extend the olive branch to CM Punk, but I don't think CM Punk will. He won't accept it, and that's what I believe. Because another thing from what I heard with people is that he has a way with holding grudges. So, and we've seen that with Colt Cabana. We've seen that with Corey Graves, the whole tweets that he was doing, following the match. So listen,
that is something I can honestly say. I was only, on a personal set. I was really busy this week, and I caught up with everything else. I'm behind on the Corey Graves tweet. I just heard someone say he bashed Punk. I don't know what he said, but you're right. Punk holds grudges. And all belief is life is too short. You can make money.
Yeah.
It ain't all about money. You need money to survive.
Certainly, I think I think the CM Punk would be just fine. I think the WWE would take him. I think it'll be up to him whether he wants to go or if he wants to go. I can see him being a commentator in somewhere like Bellator. I just don't. An MMA career for CM Punk is just a no go. And here's the thing, people say this, and I've heard this by many wrestlers. Hey, you got to live your dream and all that. I don't necessarily agree with that logic because I can be like, hey, I wanted to skydive and broke my leg twice. But hey, you got to live your dream. No. If I broke my leg the first time, I probably should realize that I'm not the best skydiver. So it's like, hey, listen, if I wanted to scuba dive and almost drown the first time, I don't know if scuba diving a second time is probably the best idea. So, I do give kudos to CM Punk for trying the first time. I will give him that. I don't think that CM Punk should have had a UFC fight. I don't agree with that whatsoever. That's unfair for a lot of people because people actually have to go through the Ultimate Fighter, series, and it's like still you have. Well, of course, of course that, and he got paid out the wazoo both times. But at the same time, it's like you have legit MMA fighters who go through the whole, training process, years of training, years of putting in other. Look at Ronda Rousey. She put in some work. And she put in some work. Misha Tate as well. Both of them put in work in other promotions before they went to UFC, and a lot of people who are really good have graduated into UFC. They weren't just thrust in UFC their first match, their first fight, with hardly any training. And it's like, it's really tough to really make any logic, of CM Punk and his to do commentary. I think he was good at the commentary at WWE. I think it was good. I think it was one of those things that he kind of found his niche while he was injured. And I think he'd be good commentating for MMA. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Dana White doesn't want him in UFC anymore, so we won't see any UFC fights. But we'll see.
So why not? He's not making him any money.
Well, he drew some people in his first UFC fight, but he opened the card this time, so he wasn't the feature because they realized that it wasn't it was going to be it could have been the first round loss again, but he drew the first time, and we'll see. He tried. Yeah.
You're not good at it. Go back to what you know.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy tried to sing. It didn't work. People tried to sing and do other things. It didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. There's Michael Jordan tried baseball, ladies and gentlemen, and he's the GOAT. So
He did with that.
yeah.
Everybody can't be Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson.
Right. Deion and Bo are the two that can do it and did it, but Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but baseball's not for him. Yeah. Yeah. Two-sport athlete, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's skim through these headlines. We've had so much to talk about tonight, so we just real quick on these headlines. Here we go. Got a comment saying Dana White said he should have put it on the Fight Pass, the prelims. Yeah. I've said this before. Punk and Mike Jackson just looked, they just stunk up the place. It was an embarrassment to UFC. They both looked absolutely terrible. Oh, yeah. Enzo Amore going to House of Glory. Very interesting. So he teased that he was going to retire and put up wrestling. He did his rap song, which I listened to, and it was absolutely horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, it was bad. But it was as real one, which is his Twitter handle. So, all right. So real quick on these things. Bobby Roode wants to face John Cena at WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, Cena should be putting over people now. So I think Bobby Roode can have a strong heel run between now and Mania. You've got a little less than 10 months. So I think he can be a really strong heel before then, and for Cena to put him over, I think it'd be all right. Godfather revealed that he was supposed to be in the NWO instead of Virgil. How about that? Yeah, they said that he said that in a recent episode of Photo Shoot, and he said that they accepted Virgil. Well, he had a verbal contract ready to go, and he didn't receive any more correspondence from him. And all of a sudden, he saw Virgil on an episode of Nitro. And so basically, what happened was WCW, or as my boy Duffy would say, WCW, baby. Virgil was willing to come for a fraction of the amount that the negotiation was with the Godfather. But it all worked out, though, because I don't think he'd be in the Hall of Fame if he made that call. So, I'm still skeptical about the Godfather being in the Hall of Fame, but, that he's in the Hall of Fame. So he had a much more successful career, in my opinion, I think, that than he would have if he went to the NWO. Photo shoot is good stuff on the network. I've watched all of them except for he feels that it's tough. He feels that it makes it tough. That Godfather went in before Vader. Yeah, that's tough. Bischoff feels that it'll be tough for people. The market on like huge mega deals, which which makes a lot of sense. But he did also say that although that would hurt financially because WWE just landed a $2 billion deal between Raw and SmackDown with NBC and Fox, respectively. There's a way to, I talked about this with Nick Aldis and a bunch of other people in the Indies that I had on my show. It's so much easier nowadays to make a really good living. I think there was a picture of like Joey Ryan, and he had like a mansion or a really nice house. And he his deal is going around indie shows and having people grab his crotch, and he squeeze his arms together and twist his arms, and they sell it. So, although I think that that's absurd, he has a nice house because of it nowadays. So, yeah. So Vince is low key making SmackDown Live better than Raw now to impress Fox. Yeah, I've said that. I've said that, man. It's one of those things that SmackDown has been head and shoulders the better show. It was this time as well. So we see that. So Ted DiBiase says that WrestleMania 4 was the biggest moment of his career. I still think he should have won a WWE championship, man. They made the $1 million title for him. If you speaking of WWE Network, I think you guys should watch the Something Else to Wrestle With. Man, those are good. And the one on DiBiase was good. I didn't see the John Cena one. To be honest with you, I just really didn't care about a 2-hour show about John Cena. I may watch it just to watch it, but that's the only one I intentionally missed that one, to be honest with you. I did see the CJ. I did see the WWE CW, and that was the most controversial one, and a lot was shared. And I agree with Bruce in a lot of ways. I'm an ECW mark, but it was one of those things that at the end of the day, they argued like crazy. Bruce and Conrad did, but I think at the end of the show, they both came to a conclusion that a lot of times, man, with that stuff, you have to just kind of sail and kind of coast on the memories that were made instead of trying to recreate something that just tarnishes the legacy. And I think that's, unfortunately, that's what happened with ECW. It's like, I see, and I'm that guy who puts WWE ECW over because people like Matt Hardy had a resurgence. People like Jack Swagger had a good catapult in his career. Kofi Kingston, Shelton Benjamin had a nice kind of resurgence. Matt Sydal was Evan Bourne had a nice run. Christian was champ. Dreamer was able to come back again and just and go for a while. It really I wrote an article about it when I used to be a featured columnist on Bleacher Report a few years back. I wrote Sheamus as well. Yep, Anthony, that's correct. Yeah, and I wrote an article a few years back. There's a lot of benefits. CM Punk started his main roster career there and became super over. So William Regal had a resurgence there, and was able. John Morrison, of course, he was Johnny Nitro before then, and so, but it still established him as a upper mid card main event style, singles wrestler. So, I think that's there's so many things about how the WWE CW that were good. And I think that the problem with it was the fact that it was still under the ECW brand. I think that was the biggest thing. I think that if everything happened in ECW for the time that it was there, minus them still trying to do the originals part, I think that we would have liked it if it was a different brand name. But the very fact is that so many people, rightfully so many people were expecting Extreme Championship Wrestling and they didn't receive it. I think that's where the problem comes with a lot of people. But I agree with that. Calling it ECW and making it a WWE product was, I think there's some criticism that comes with that. But at the same time, it became very beneficial to a lot of people. So, and you can't recreate ECW. It's like, listen, TNA did the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view when you had Cojones and PJ Polanco and a whole bunch of names that you couldn't use that TNA had to make up, and had to create different names. Well, he's been PJ Polanco for a while, but Cojones was crazy to me. It was supposed to be Balls Mahoney, but they changed it to Cojones. And so, the whole EV 2.0 thing was a disaster in TNA. Shane Douglas just tried to recreate ECW with the hardcore homecomings and stuff like that. Good moments, but when you do like Extreme Rising, they try to do that. That didn't work out. So they've tried plenty of times to try to recreate the ECW brand, and it's been a failure every time. So, they tried, but it didn't work. And that's just basically how it went. Next trivia question. WWE bragging rights only lasted 2 years, 2009 and 2010. This person was WWE champ both times, but lost in each main event. Wow. GHP. I got a comment. John Cena. That's a running. That's another I do. That's like I do it for you. That's a running joke here on the Pancakes and Powerslams too. When we say John Cena, we have to say it in a way. We have to say it like Justin Roberts. John Cena. Randy Orton. Good job. 2009 lost to John Cena, and 2010 lost to Wade Barrett. People were spelling John in different variations on the chat room right now. All right, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the Raw and SmackDown review real quick before we get to these CM Punk things. I would put the music over for you today, but for the sake of time, I'll let you get right into the Raw and SmackDown review just real quick so we can get into these CM Punk matches.
So they can break up a little bit.
Go right into the Raw and SmackDown review so we can jump into these CM Punk matches.
I thought Raw was okay. SmackDown overall the better show. Going backwards, I don't know this week. Nakamura and AJ Styles. I hope Nakamura wins just to do something different because we totally forget AJ Styles is champ. He's not going to really put so much momentum behind him. I thought SmackDown was cool. Carmella, I still like her. I feel like she's losing a little bit of steam. The women main event in SmackDown again was really something different. When it comes to Raw, I thought Raw was okay. Is it me or is it? It's like oversaturation with Strowman. I love Strowman.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that too.
He's gonna win.
Yep.
And it's like overdo them.
Yep.
And to me, both briefcases, for some reason, throwing me off. I'm used to one. Just like, Rollins. Rollins, of course, one of the hottest things, and that's cool, but I just hope we just don't get, I feel like we're getting Strowman overload. Lashley still lost in purgatory. Reigns is going against Ginger Juice, but Ginger Juice is just a placeholder until we end up seeing Reigns against Brock again for SummerSlam.
Yes. Yes. The video cast can see me say, yes. Yes.
Which people are mad about that, but it makes sense for business-wise. Come on. It makes sense.
It does, man.
Reigns
I agree.
Against Brock again. We just saw Okada and Omega 4, which is different. We don't see New Japan every week. But they're the two biggest draws. You can get about Brock. He's broke Punk's record, 434 days. He's only defended the title 10 times. And guess what? He's made more money than Punk has. The ratings didn't do anything. They didn't even nudge an inch or 16 for Punk was champ. We'll talk about more of that in Flavor of the Week. Brock is an attraction. When you see him as special, he makes money. Yes, his matches could be better, but that's just who he is right now. He's not baby Brock from 2002, 2003, 2004. He was doing all these different moves, the Brock Lock, and which I love, and all them other moves. And he was nicknamed the Master, which didn't count. Catch on. I enjoy SmackDown. Like one of the viewers said, the listener said in the chat room, I feel SmackDown lately has been the better show. It's easier for me to follow. Raw is not a chore to watch, but Raw is 3 hours. Feels like it's like I'm watching an 8-hour marathon.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just so long, and it's like, come on.
And it's long not because it's exciting, because I remember watching 3-hour nitros and wanting more, but yeah, Raw was, it's just always, I mean, I haven't been impressed with the Raw for a long time. And I agree. I mean, it's got a comment. I feel like I hear that roar like 5 times a night on Raw. Yeah, man, I like Braun. I like Braun a lot, man. But yeah, man, you just gotta, it's starting to get overload. And that's what turns the people. You've got a foolproof baby face right now that everybody loves, Braun Strowman. But if you start shoving them down our throats, what happens to the marks? They start to boo.
I can say this, you're married Featherstone, beautiful wife and kids. I'm about to be married myself with my lovely girlfriend. It's like a relationship. You need some space, even when you live together. You gotta have that time to yourself. You go to work, you're married, you home together. You still need a couple hours to yourself. Being around each other is great. You can even overdo that. You still need some type of separation, an hour or two. You do your stuff, I do my stuff. Because you're around each other 24/7. You're going to get on each other's nerves. And I use that analogy with wrestling. With Strowman, it's too much.
Yeah, we're starting to see. Yeah, I'm going to run through my Raw and SmackDown real quick. But we're starting to see too much of Braun. It started to be too much on the mic, too. I mean, just way too much. Just killing the character, killing the mystique. Elias is still money. Looking forward to that match. And B Team, I'm still not sold on them being all the way up to world title contenders, tag team title contenders. Lashley was getting some pops, man. I think that they're kind of moving over to him being like the military guy, and the army guy, and of course you got to respect the military. So he's getting pops for that. So they're using it to their advantage. So I gotta give that to him. So the obstacle course thing, it was still a dud segment, but it was probably the best out of all of them. Poor Bailey. I mean, what the heck did she do wrong to get an R on her chest? I mean, she's losing matches left and right, and oh man, it's tough. Tough to see that. So yeah, and Drew McIntyre is just money. I've chatted with him a couple times recently. He was on my show and we chat and trying to get some things together. So stay tuned. Follow Chris Prolific. But yeah, good guy, man. Great guy. SmackDown.
Becky Lynch still when Infinite Bailey want to take that spot and keep losing.
Yeah, Becky. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, so good to see Brian. I mean, it was good matches. I mean, Brian and Benjamin was a good match. Nakamura and Hardy was a good match. Rusev and Joe was a good match. I mean, solid matches throughout the night. Rusev and Joe, I just don't understand. I don't get it. I'm a traditionalist. Two heels going together and a heel being a referee. I don't know. Yeah, what yeah, but and then at the end, it was good to see Asuka win. But does that mean that Asuka's going to lose? She bet not get pinned by Carmella. That would be absolutely terrible. And what the heck is going on with Jeff Hardy nowadays? He's the U.S. champion. He loses like crazy. So, too bad for that. All right. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's skim through this because we got to go through the predictions as well. For the week, here we go.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
Okay. Yeah, the Miss Pancakes segment was fun too. All right. So 14 total pay-per-views. Let's get right to it for the sake of time. Roberto Del Rio and The Miz. So he did main event that one. Royal Rumble 2012, it was main event by the Royal Rumble, which Sheamus won. Jericho still should have won that one to this day. He wrestled against Dolph Ziggler that year. Royal Rumble 2012 was actually a pretty good match. Elimination Chamber 2012. So after the Royal Rumbles, when it just started to crash with CM Punk's reign. Elimination Chamber 2012. CM Punk was a part of the Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship. It was like the second or third match. It was early in. It was around there, maybe fourth. It was early in the show. The main event was terrible. It was an ambulance match between John Cena and Kane. Wow. And at Elimination Chamber, a gimmick match main evented by a different gimmick match. That, to me, that was just an all-time terrible low. Next was WrestleMania 28, which was The Rock versus John Cena, and CM Punk versus Jericho was the match right before it. So it's like, okay, let's be honest, let's be logical here. CM Punk versus Jericho would definitely not be higher than The Rock versus John Cena. So CM Punk at that time for the WWE Championship, he received he was the next to last match before The Rock. I mean, come on now. There's no argument to, you know what? I think I should go after The Rock versus John Cena. No. That's a simple. You're not going to draw more than The Rock versus John Cena, so that's quite obvious. The next month again, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar was the main event. You're not going to all draw that. CM Punk went against Chris Jericho. That's when they were having the street fights and stuff like that, and the straight edge, and Jericho was pouring alcohol on him and things like that. That's how that was. Next, you had Over the Limit, which was bad. This was a bad call. CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan was his match, but the main event was John Laurinaitis versus John Cena. Big Show makes the turn. No Way Out 2012 was next. John Cena versus Big Show, based on the month before. Big Show making the turn. The match that night was CM Punk defeating Daniel Bryan and Kane in a triple threat match. Next was Money in the Bank 2012. The main event was the Money in the Bank match between Cena, Show, Jericho, Miz, and Kane. CM Punk went against Daniel Bryan with AJ Lee as a special ghost ref. So again, another match with Daniel Bryan that was really good, actually. SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H. Again, hard to argue for that not to be the main event. CM Punk went against Big Show and John Cena in a triple threat match. Of course, he won all these matches except for there was one that he had like a draw, but he won all these matches. Knox was Night of Champions. He actually main evented against John Cena. That was the draw. And then he main evented the next month at Hell in a Cell when he beat Ryback. Brad Maddox was involved in that, I believe. Survivor Series was the debut of the Shield. He beats John Cena and Ryback. And then TLC, CM Punk didn't compete. Dolph Ziggler defeated John Cena in the case versus title case versus contract type of thing. Title versus case, something like that. And then the next month he lost against The Rock. So that's it. Reigns versus Big Show, last man standing. I think that was was that Extreme Rules? Let me check and see. I think that was that. I think that was actually like 4 stars. Like those things at 4. That was actually a pretty good match. Yeah, let's see. Extreme Rules. I think this is Extreme Rules. Let me guess. Let me find that out for you. Let me find that for you. All right. The last man standing match was I think it was Extreme Rules. Yeah. Extreme Rules. It was Extreme Rules 2015. Reigns versus Show, last man standing. Yep. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the Money in the Bank predictions. We got a few minutes coming up. Battleground. Yeah, Battleground. Oh, wait a minute. Battleground. Roman Reigns. I think he was going against like Kevin Owens or Seth Rollins around that time. Because they had like Battleground, then they had like Battleground end of the road, end of the line, or something like that. And I think it was end of the line. Yeah, it was just awful. Like it was all insane. Yeah.
Roadblock.
Yeah, Roadblock. Yeah, Roadblock. And then Battleground. Battleground was that was end of the line. It was Dean versus Triple H. Yeah. What I think did Roman go against like Kevin Owens or something like that, or Seth Rollins? Something. I think it was Kevin Owens. Check on that for me, chat room. I think it was Kevin Owens. All right, so let's get into the. So that was the flavor of the week. So we'll get this sound bite for that. Yeah. So. Yes, that was the flavor of the week, ladies and gentlemen. That was a fun flavor of the week. 14 pay-per-views that he was a part of as champion, and he main evented. He main evented 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 14. So yeah, wow. Battleground 2015 was Bray versus Roman. Yes. What about Roadblock? The Roadblock pay-per-views. I think that was so I remember like one Roadblock, the first Roadblock. So here we go. Let's start with Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Who you got? Bias. Yeah, I agree. I think this is the biggest toss up for me, but I think that Rollins is going to keep it. I think Elias will have it sooner than later, but I think it might be a screwy finish to lead up to next month. So we'll see. Cass beats Daniel in the rubber match being Extreme Rules. Yeah, I can see that. Bludgeon Brothers against Harper and against Anderson and Gallows for the SmackDown tag titles.
Did you even have to, I guess, that squash match, Bludgeon Brothers?
The Bludgeon Brothers, of course they do. Of course they retain. Lashley versus Zayn.
Lashley, this match is going to go a lot longer than what it should. I think it should go about 12, 13 minutes.
Yeah, Lashley should squash him, but I can see it. I can see that. Carmella versus Asuka.
Keeping on Carmella. I say Carmella wins by DQ. Asuka doesn't afford to lose yet another match, and Carmella thought the title was going to get lost in purgatory with Lashley. So,
I think Carmella keeps the title, but I think this finish is going to be screwy. You cannot have Carmella pin Asuka. That would just be absolutely terrible. SmackDown crew's heading to Japan after Money in the Bank. Will one of the Japan stars win? That's a good point, Jason. That's a good point. Let's go with Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal.
Well, your boy got the song Maharaja.
Ugh. Yes, he's going to lose. He is going to lose.
I mean, respect Jinder Mahal shouldn't get squashed, but Reigns is going to win. It's going to be a typical Reigns match. His head's going to be wet. Like a Cole's going to say, the big dog.
The big dog.
He's going to get beat up for the 7 minutes. And then Reigns is going to do the ooh-ah spin. And that's it. And Mahal's going to like...
I wonder if we get an Ambrose appearance. I wonder. Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey.
Nia Jax wins by DQ. It's too early to put the title on Ronda Rousey. I see Nia Jax probably doing something to get DQ, keep punching her and not letting her hold go, hit her with a chair or something.
I've got Nia. Yeah, I've got Nia keeping the title because of Natalya. I think Natalya is going to interfere this match. Styles Nakamura.
I want Nakamura to win. I mean, haven't we all forgotten Jay Styles is the WWE champion? I think we have.
Yeah, I think it's time to get it off of AJ.
Are they going to stretch this to SummerSlam?
Don't speak English. Yeah, I agree. Nakamura. I can see that. Women's Money in the Bank. Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Natalya, Lana, Sasha Banks. Who you got?
Sable. No, I'm joking. Ember Moon.
I wish Ember Moon. I wish. That would be fantastic.
She deserves it.
I would want Ember Moon, Naomi, or Becky Lynch to win, but I think they'll probably give it to Sasha Banks, honestly, because she just re-signed the contract. She's been kind of under the radar. I can see them giving it to Sasha Banks. All right, real quick, men's Money in the Bank: Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Rusev, Lashley, Bobby Roode, Miz, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and one of the members of the New Day. Who you got?
it to I give it to the member of the New Day. Give it to Big E.
I would love it. I would love for Big E to win the match, but I think they're going to give it to Samoa Joe. So I've got Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, that way, if Big E wins it, and if they win the title for the first time, they can do like the 6-man thing. You don't know who's going to defend the title. Xavier Woods, Kofi,
Right.
Big E. But
Yep.
WWE's not going to do it because they're too traditional. So I give it to Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I think Joe's going to win it. Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I hope Big E wins, but I think Joe's going to do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for continue to support the Pancakes and Powerslam show. It has been such an amazing show. This is 324. I think this is going to be a memorable one. There's something about this, the energy of this show that was just really good. It is because of you all, the chat room. Thanks, first time listening. Thank you so much, good fellow. Hopefully, we'll see you again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. 324 episodes. Thank you for Booker T. Thank you, Father. Thank you for Avantech Proud on the show. Thank you, CJ. All right. In the books, ladies and gentlemen, in the books, 324. I did it for The Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed one. Always remember, I'll do it for you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.